Everybody. We're diving into a problem I bet a lot of you healthcare IT folks are dealing with.
hmm
Keeping sensitive data safe, making sure it's accessible, and of course, backed up, especially with data volumes going through the roof.
Yeah, exactly. We recently worked with a healthcare IT provider, a pretty big one actually, managing electronic health records and all sorts of data for tons of healthcare providers all over the US.
Wow, so a lot of responsibility there.
Absolutely. And they were hitting a wall with their old backup system, running out of space, worried about ransomware, you name it.
Makes sense. They need something rock solid, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the healthcare data.
They needed a solution that would play nice with their Veeam setup too. Plus, faster backups and restores were crucial for them, and obviously they wanted a cost-effective solution that wouldn't break the bank.
It sounds like a lot to juggle.
Wow.
So where do we even begin with a situation like that? What was their biggest pain point?
Well, I think storage capacity was their most immediate problem.
I can imagine with all that data coming in.
Their data was growing like crazy, and their old systems just couldn't handle it. It was a constant struggle to keep up, and it was starting to impact their ability to do their jobs effectively.
And on top of that, you mentioned the looming threat of ransomware. That must have kept them up at night.
Yeah, that was a huge concern for them. A ransomware attack could be disastrous, leading to huge financial losses, damage to their reputation, and even putting patient care at risk. They knew they needed a solution that could give them peace of mind.
Absolutely. And I know they wanted to stick with Veeam, so finding something that would integrate seamlessly was key.
You got it. Ripping and replacing their whole setup wasn't really an option. They needed a storage solution that would work hand in hand with their existing Veeam deployment and add that extra layer of ransomware protection they were desperate for.
And that's where Stonefly came in, right? With the super scale-out NAS appliance.
That's the one.
Now, can you walk us through how exactly the SSO NAS tackled all those challenges?
Sure. The beauty of it is that Stonefly's a Veeam-ready partner, so we get their whole ecosystem. That's where the Veeam-aware air-gapped vault comes in. It's designed to work perfectly with Veeam. It automatically attaches and detaches during those read-write jobs, all controlled by the user, right from within Veeam.
Oh, I see. So it's streamlining the whole backup process right from the get-go.
Exactly. Makes it much more efficient and way more reliable.
Okay, that covers integration and speed. But let's get back to ransomware protection. How does that air-gapped piece work?
Okay, so air-gapped basically means the backup data is totally isolated from the main network, so ransomware can't even get to it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like having your backups locked in a safe that hackers can't touch.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like a separate secure vault. And then you add in the immutability of the air-gapped volumes.
Okay, now hold on. Explain immutability for those of us who didn't get a PhD in cybersecurity.
Sure, immutability means that data can't be changed or deleted, not even by ransomware.
Wow, so even if ransomware snuck onto the network somehow, the backups on the Stonefly NAS would be safe.
Exactly. They can't touch those backups because they're essentially offline. And that immutability, that's like a tamper-proof seal. Gives organizations that confidence that they can get their data back no matter what.
Okay, so that's peace of mind right there. But capacity was also a big issue for this provider, right?
Yeah.
How did Stonefly tackle that?
That's the great thing about the SSO NAS. It's designed to scale. You can just add more expansion units for storage or even bring in whole extra nodes to boost performance and capacity, and you can do it all on the fly.
So it grows with them. No need to rip and replace every few years as they get bigger.
Exactly. They'll never run into that storage wall again. And to make things even better, the SSO NAS has this cool tiered storage system.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
You can use those blazing fast NVMe SSDs for your most important data, the stuff you need to access all the time, then use regular SAS drives for data that's not as critical, and you can even hook it up to the cloud for long-term archiving.
So they can tailor it to their specific needs and budget.
Exactly.
Speaking of budget, we all know healthcare organizations have to be mindful of cost, probably more now than ever. How did the Stonefly solution fit in there?
You know, that's another area where Stonefly really shines. We've got great pricing, especially when you look at all the features and performance you're getting. Our per TB price is one of best out there, making it a real winner for organizations watching their bottom line.
So we talked about their struggling backup infrastructure, and we've laid out how Stonefly's SSO NAS tackled their challenges. But the big question is, did it work?
That's what we all want to know, right? And the answer is yeah, it really did. We saw some fantastic results with this healthcare provider, especially in terms of ransomware protection, how efficiently they could manage backups, and overall compliance.
Okay, now I'm really interested. Let's hear about those results. Let's start with that ransomware protection. How did that multi-tiered approach hold up in the real world?
Well, before the SSO NAS, they were always on edge, like walking on eggshells about ransomware. They had some basic security in place, but knew it wouldn't be enough against a really sophisticated attack.
Right, so that air-gapped vault and the immutable backups really gave them that extra layer of protection they needed.
Yeah.
But how did that actually play out for them? What kind of real results did they see?
I think the biggest win was peace of mind. Knowing their data was essentially untouchable by ransomware, their IT team could finally breathe, focus on other stuff. They could sleep at night knowing that even if, worst case scenario, their network was breached, their backups were safe and sound, ready to go if they needed them.
Yeah, that peace of mind. You can't put a price tag on that for an IT manager. But I bet there were some other tangible benefits too, right? Especially when it comes to efficiency.
Absolutely. Before Stonefly, managing backups was a total time suck, a very manual process. They were constantly having to check storage levels, schedule those backups, make sure everything was running smoothly. It took up way too much of their time.
So how did the SSO nows actually streamline things for them?
It's all about automation. The SSO NAS integrates directly with Veeam, so everything's automated, orchestrated right from Veeam. The IT team doesn't have to babysit individual backups or worry about storage. It just happens automatically in the background, frees them up to do more important things.
That's a huge win for efficiency. But we're talking healthcare data here, so compliance has got to be a major factor. Did the Stonefly solution help them meet all those regulations?
100%. Healthcare, they have some of the strictest rules about data protection, I by EPA, especially here in the US. And the SSO NAS hits all those requirements. First off, those air-gapped backups, that makes sure their data is locked down. No unauthorized access or tampering.
So they can prove your data is protected, hasn't been messed with, which is crucial for audits.
Exactly. And on top of that, you've got immutability. Means backups can't be changed or deleted, even by admins. Guarantees data integrity and provides an audit trail, for compliance, so they know their backups are accurate, reliable.
Huge win for compliance right there. So it sounds like Stonefly checked all the boxes: better ransomware protection, streamlined backups, and simplified compliance. But how about implementation? Was it a headache for them?
Actually, no, not at all. They were really impressed by how smooth it was. We're a Veeam Ready partner, remember? So the SSO NAS just slid right into their existing Veeam setup. No massive overhauls, no crazy configurations.
Basically plug and play. That's always music to my ears, especially when we're dealing with critical infrastructure.
I hear you. They were up and running in no time, practically zero downtime. And of course, our team was there every step of the way, holding their hand.
That's always good to hear. We touched on scalability earlier, but I'm curious, how's this particular provider been using that feature?
Their data was growing so fast, remember? But with the SSO NAS, they've got a system that can keep up with them. As their data volume goes up, they just add more storage, more processing power, no problem. Just add those expansion units or nodes, and it's done.
Future-proof. No worries about hitting another wall anytime soon.
Exactly. And that scalability goes for the cloud, too. The SSO NAS plays nicely with a bunch of cloud storage providers, so they can use the cloud for archiving, disaster recovery, you name it. They can even tier their storage, based on cost and performance needs.
That flexibility is key these days. But let's get down to brass tacks. What kind of return on investment did they see after switching to Stonefly?
They saw big improvements across the board. That ransomware protection, first and foremost, gave them peace of mind, and that's priceless. They're no longer losing sleep over a potential attack, which could have cost them millions to recover from, not to mention fines and lost business.
So less risk and a lot of potential savings there. How about those efficiency gains? Did that translate to anything concrete?
Oh, for sure. All those automation features, that meant their IT team got freed up from all those manual tasks, so they could focus on more strategic projects, boosting their productivity and efficiency. We figured they're probably saving hundreds of hours in IT labor costs every year just from automating those backups.
That's massive. And I bet that helped with compliance too.
Definitely. The SSO NAS made it so much easier for them to prove they're meeting those IPA regulations, save them time and money, and reduce the risk of getting slapped with fines.
Win-win-win. Better security, more efficiency, and compliance, all while keeping costs under control. A real success story.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It really shows what a good storage and backup solution can do, especially for healthcare.
But this goes way beyond healthcare, right? I mean, any business that relies on data is going to face these same challenges.
100%. Data growth, security threats, compliance, those are issues everyone's dealing with these days.
So for our listeners out there who are wrestling with these same problems, what's your top tip? What should they be thinking about?
Don't wait until it's too late. Get ahead of the curve, be proactive about your data storage and backup.
Right, much easier to put a solid plan in place before you're staring down a data disaster or a ransomware attack.
Exactly. And when you're looking at solutions, don't just focus on the sticker price. Think long term. Think about the money you'll save by being more efficient, reducing downtime, and having better security.
Finding a solution that grows with you lays a strong foundation for your data.
Right. And don't forget about finding a partner you can trust, someone who gets your needs and can help you through the whole process.
Which is where Stonefly comes in, of course.
Of course. We really get data storage and backup challenges, no matter the industry. And we're here to help our customers find the right solution for them.
You know, we've covered a lot today, from this healthcare provider's specific struggles to these bigger trends we're seeing in data storage and backup. It's been a fascinating deep dive. Hopefully our listeners are walking away with some useful knowledge.
Totally agree. It's been great sharing our expertise, showing how Stonefly is making a difference for these organizations.
Now, before we wrap things up, let's circle back to something you said earlier about the human element. Technology is important, but it's the people behind it that really matter.
Yeah, I remember when we first started talking to this provider, their IT team was, well, stressed is an understatement. They were trying to do a million things at once, stuck with outdated tech and feeling the heat to keep all that sensitive data safe.
Oh, yeah.
But even with all that pressure, they were so dedicated, so passionate about what they do.
Molieros, working their tails off behind the scenes, making sure patients never felt a thing. And once they saw what the Stonefly solution could do, how much easier it would make their lives, not to mention the security boost, you could just see the weight lift off their shoulders.
It's more than just the tech, isn't it? It's about empowering people to do their jobs better and feel good doing it. 100%. And that's what gets us going at Stonefly. We're not just selling boxes. We're partners. We're advisors. We want to see our customers succeed. That means providing a reliable, innovative solutions, sure, but it also means building relationships, being there for them when they need us.
So, for anyone listening who's in the same boat, what's your #1 piece of advice?
Don't try to do it all yourself. Get some help. Find experts who can guide you through this stuff. There are a ton of options out there. It can be really overwhelming trying to figure it all out alone.
Talk to people, go to industry events, research vendors. Find a partner who understands your specific needs, who can build a solution that works for your budget and your long-term plans.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get creative. The old ways of doing things, well, they don't always cut it anymore. Look into new technologies. Think about integrating with the cloud. Be open to those innovative solutions that can keep you ahead of the game.
Love that advice. Now, before we go, I want to touch on something we haven't really talked about yet. Disaster recovery. Even with the best security, things happen. Natural disasters, power goes out, someone makes a mistake. How does Stonefly help organizations prepare for those just-in-case scenarios?
That's a great point, and it's something we're very serious about at Stonefly. Our solutions are built with disaster recovery in mind, making sure that if something happens, our customers can get their data back quickly and easily.
Okay, so how does that work in practice? Can you give us some specific examples?
Sure thing. Replication is a big one. We can replicate your data to a secondary site, whether that's another data center you're managing, a co-location facility, or even the cloud. So if your primary site goes down, you've got a copy ready to go.
So even in a worst-case scenario, where your whole data center is down, you can still get back up and running.
That's the idea. And we offer a few different replication options to fit different needs and budgets. There's synchronous replication, which mirrors your data in real time to the secondary site, or asynchronous replication, a bit more budget-friendly, but there's a tiny delay in those updates.
So organizations can choose what fits their recovery time objectives and recovery point objectives, their RTOs and RPOs.
Exactly. We really get to know our customers, figure out what they need, and design a disaster recovery plan that works for them and their budget.
That kind of personalized service is so important. You know, we've been focused on those on-premises solutions, but I'm curious, how does Stonefly handle this whole cloud thing? So many companies are going that route, either partially or all the way.
Oh yeah, cloud integration is a huge focus for us. The cloud is a big deal now, not just an extra thing. It's a core part of how a lot of companies operate. That's why we've built solutions that work seamlessly with all those major cloud platforms, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud.
So companies can have the best of both worlds, right? The flexibility and scalability of the cloud, but they still keep control over their data, make sure it's secure and compliant.
You got it. We offer a whole bunch of cloud integrated solutions like Cloud Connect that lets you back up or replicate data to the cloud. It's a great offsite copy for disaster recovery or archiving. Then there are cloud storage gateways. Those integrate your on-premises stuff with cloud storage services so you can tier your storage, move that less used data to the cloud. And of course, we've got those cloud-based backup appliances, virtual appliances running in the cloud, a really cost-effective and scalable option for those cloud-native workloads.
So cloud, hybrid, whatever, Stonefly's got them covered.
We've got you. We're always updating our offerings, keeping up with the latest trends, making sure our customers have the tools they need to thrive.
I think we've covered a ton today, from this one healthcare provider's challenges to these larger issues impacting data storage and backup. It's been a really cool deep dive. Hopefully our listeners learned a thing or two.
I think so. It's been great sharing what we know and showing how Stonefly is tackling these data challenges.
So before we sign off, what's that one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Don't wait for disaster to strike. Get ahead of the game, be proactive about your data storage and backup. Look at your options, find a partner you trust, and put a solution in place that will protect your data, your organization's most valuable asset.
Great advice. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the deep dive. And remember, Stonefly is here to help you navigate the data world.
Stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure.